Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today to talk about my BMW M8 Competition and where is it? A lot of you have been asking me, but of course this year has not exactly turned out as we expected. However, today I do have some good news from BMW M to share with you. So last year when they revealed the new M8, the flagship of the 8 series, I announced that one was going to be joining the garage as a future Shmeemobile. In January this year, a couple of months ago, I was lucky to borrow from BMW UK for a couple of weeks their Gran Coupe 1 of 8, a fantastic machine, and at that time I revealed the spec for my M8 Coupe as well as saying it was going to arrive in March or April. Well, it is now May, but I do have some news as to what's ahead. Today I'll tell you the reasoning and choices behind the spec, the story that's gone into it. We'll talk about the plans for the future, what's going to be happening in terms of upgrades, road trips, where it's going to be going, and of course I will tell you when I hope to be receiving it in the garage. So today, where is my BMW M8 Competition? If we go back a couple of months, none of us could see what was going to be coming, and of course there are much bigger and much more significant things currently going on in the world than a delay to the delivery of a new BMW, but this channel is all about cars. It is not one for medical or political discussion, but purely what I love and what you guys love as well, all things automotive. So back in February, I did actually have an expected delivery date. March the 27th, I was going to fly over to Munich in Germany and drive the car back home. Of course, about 2 weeks before that, things became apparent that this wasn't going to be happening. Travel restrictions started to be introduced, and I didn't really know when it might end up, and of course I didn't even know as well if the car would make it down the production line and be assembled before some of the plants and factories were closed. The M8, like the 8 series and like some of the other BMW models, is built at BMW's plant in Dingolfing, the same factory that I visited to see the M5 production line about 2 years ago, but I have finally got some news as to what exactly is happening, and the car lives. It is at BMW M's HQ in Garching, Germany, waiting for the opportunity where I can travel out to collect it. Now, of course, we don't entirely know when that will be with the current quarantine restrictions when you do travel, but I'll give some more insight into this later in the video as to what I do know and when I expect it might finally be. In any case, though, to know that the car is built, to know that it is waiting, is very exciting, and I cannot wait to see it. At this moment in time, I have not even seen a photo myself. I've just had the news that it's there, ready and waiting to go and get. So what's happening then, or what are the details of the spec, and what am I going to be doing with it in future? The first of these is the specification, and as many of you will know, with the Shmeemobiles in the garage, I tend to like them to be in colours, but I also like the spec to have a story, to have a reason behind why the colour was chosen, not just something that was plucked out of thin air, but something that has an actual meaning. So in the case of the 8 series, I was thinking what colours are missing, obviously drawn straight to green. There is no green car currently in the garage, lots of blues, lots of reds, lots of different varieties at the ends of the spectrum, but nothing in green. And I also thought that given the 8 series is a luxurious, powerful car, green or dark green would be a very suitable colour for it. Now coming to this, I wanted to link it back as well to the history of the 8. The first 8 series back in the 90s that was built from 1990 through to 1999. Again, the luxurious, comfortable, powerful type of concept, one that suits, I think, a very smart colour. And I look back at what greens had been available back then. On the E31, there are actually some amazing websites with loads of details about the different colour options, and I started to look through what there had been, and there had been a few different greens. Of course, there had been some extended range colours, some one-offs, some of which only about 30 or maybe 50 units were actually made in total, but there were a couple of, I guess, key green colours that had stood out. The first, which I did dismiss, was Barbados green, a much brighter, light green, you could say a silvery green almost, in fact. The second, of which they made 1,500 cars or so, was Laguna green, a colour I did consider quite a teal element to it. I didn't know how that would look in person or how it might suit the newer car. And the final option that I did choose was Oxford green, a much darker green, in fact a very dark green overall, but a colour that I think will suit the new car absolutely perfectly. I can show you though my attempt at a render. It is not exactly the best, but the M8 Competition Coupe in Oxford green, a very dark green, wearing the bicolour 20-inch 813M wheel option, along with of course a lot of technology and upgrades you might expect from the car. Inside it will have the Silverstone grey leather. I thought grey and dark green would be a combination that would work very well, also a style that would fit those cars from the 90s, but work quite well as well on the new generation of car. So again, like I said, there has to be a story, there has to be a reason, but I also want it to fit and work well in the lineup of the Shmeemobiles. I'll go through the full spec when I do eventually take delivery to show you through all of the options, lots of complicated code names and different tech bits and pieces as you can imagine. But along with the arrival, or the soon-to-be arrival of the car, I can also show you some new shirts and items that we have added to the Shmee 150 shop, the 8 Series generations. I think this is pretty cool. The old car through to the new car had to be done. You can find the link to these in the description down below, but the new t-shirt we've got here, I've also got the new hoodies, along with plenty of other things you can find in the Shmee 150 shop. So as always, the link to that is down below if you'd like to find those and plenty more. But this car is not going to be too far afield and I can't wait for it. So when's it going to arrive and what are going to be the plans? Given I had been planning to collect the M8 over in Germany at the end of March, you can imagine it was intended to be featured quite prominently through April, and in fact, in early April, I had a big trip planned to take 6 of the Shmeemobiles, along with some friends and members of the Shmee 150 team, to go on a drive all together from London to Paris, over to the Nürburgring for Easter weekend, up to the Netherlands, into Belgium, and then continue onwards with some of the cars as well around Europe. Of course, that didn't come to fruition for much bigger reasons, but it does mean I don't know exactly when and what the first outing for the M8 is going to be. Technically, it could be transported from Germany back to the UK, but of course, at the moment, I'd quite like to just wait a little bit longer and go out and collect it for myself. I think it's more special to head to Munich, to the home of BMW, to go and see it there, and to get driving it and bring it back. And of course, it has a big run-in, perfect opportunity to do that on a long drive as well. What I don't know is when that is going to be. Now, at the moment, technically, of course, I do have a flat in Germany, which I do actually kind of need to go and visit before too long for a number of different reasons. I haven't been there for quite a long time because of course being here in the UK. However, when you arrive in Germany at the moment with the current restrictions, there is a 14-day quarantine if you come in from another country. Now that's just been extended from the 3rd of May when it would have ended to the 10th of May. It might be extended again, but of course for me it'd be quite difficult if I went there to then be stuck at home for 2 weeks with no way to get groceries and shopping or anything like that, and not able to come back. So I'm trying to plan this myself, obviously within the guidelines. Everything you're seeing on the channel is within the appropriate guidelines of the country, here in the UK for example. But I have to respect those. I'm not just going to go to Germany to pick up a car, breaching rules, and then come back again. So it needs to be done right, it needs to be done correctly, and I hope potentially by the end of May, maybe in June. We'll have to wait and see when that's going to be. Of course, when that does happen, I'm not entirely sure what the rest of my year is going to look like. I did intend, around that time, June, July, to head to the USA for a couple of months with the SLS Black Series. I don't know if that can happen. I don't know if I'm going to be driving around Europe in the M8 a lot more, if I'm going to be going to the Nürburgring with some of the cars like the Red Focus RS. It's all, well, kind of up in the air, a waiting game to see what happens, to see firstly what is safe to do and secondly what is permissible to do. At the moment, well, it's kind of a complete guess. We don't really know, we just have to wait and see. One or two things that are on the cards for the future. After I've taken delivery of it, I will at some point return back to Munich with the M8 to go and visit BMW M again to install some M performance parts, but also some individual parts, some customization and unique touches to the car. So expect some carbon fibre, some more things kind of how we did like with the M5, again, about 2 years ago. I can't believe how quickly time has flown. I ran that car, what, for the summer, did about 13,000 kilometers with it. Absolutely amazing, especially for traveling around Germany and driving on the autobahns, completely at home, cruising in comfort, great technology, and I really found a complete love for it, which is why I'm so excited for the M8 to arrive into the garage. So that's on the cards. Of course, I'll share the experience of taking it for some long distance drives, traveling around, heading to different events and activities with the car, potentially with a couple of the cars together at some point, including the M8 as well. One more thing that you might be wondering, will the car get any performance modifications? Well, the plan at the moment is is not to do so. It is the M8 Competition. Remember, you have the regular M8 and M8 Competition variants in each of the 3 different body styles, the Coupe, the Convertible, and the Gran Coupe. So that means it does have the 625 horsepower, 4.4 litre twin power turbo V8, which I think is ample grunt for my kind of usage. I'm going to be using the car as a luxurious and sporty Grand Tourer with over 600 horsepower plus the MX drive system. I think it's going to be absolutely plenty. We'll just make some of those changes then to the performance parts in carbon and some of the individual bits and pieces. I have driven both the M8 Competition Coupe, Convertible, actually all of, and the Gran Coupe before, so I know that I'm in store for a car that I'm going to enjoy driving, and I cannot wait to get behind the wheel of the new Shmeemobile. Don't forget though, as I mentioned, we have added the 8 Series Generations t-shirt and hoodie, amongst others, to the Shmee150 shop. You can check those out. The link is down below if you'd like to head over to shop.shmee150.com and take a look at what we've got there. For the time being though, it's going to be a patience game to see when I can head over, but I hope that answers some of the questions from you guys keeping the channel 2 cars about the BMW M8 and when it's going to be here in the garage. So thank you very much for watching. As always, I appreciate your support an awful lot, but that's it for this time, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!